I think he's doing a great job. And I think a lot of Nigerians actually agree that he's doing a great job.
Then why the integrity test? And then we're having this kind of problem with accepting him or confirming him by the Senate.
You see, that is why I think we are making a mountain of a molehill. Here is the Senate. Even in recognizing that Magu is doing a great job, how then does it help his continuing in that situation or in that position? If you have a damning report from the ESS, will it not go against, even if you recognize that he's doing a great job, will it not go against his ability to continue to do that great job in spite of the report that comes out on him? Not by the Senate. The Senate did not issue the report. DSS issued the report. Okay, and what I believe people are saying that, well, in recognition of what he's doing as a great job, the DSS should actually discount or should have discounted that report. I disagree.
Now, the position or the actions of the DSS, I know people have seen it, interpreted it in different lights. Do you think that it's actually a good thing for the DSS to come up with this damning report when a presidential nominee for that position is sent to the Senate? Or do you think that, yeah, this is democracy, agencies should be allowed to work independently?
Well, I think for every appointee, I think the DSS, can issue reports. That's the job of the DSS. The DSS look at the situation, and the DSS thinks it can affect, general welfare of the nation or so. Are we saying that the DSS should not issue that report?
In the light of Mr. Magu's response about the DSS on the floor of the Senate, he said, I think he raised questions about the integrity of that office, the DSS, because they released two separate reports.
That's not what he's supposed to be doing at that point. If I were advising Magu at that point, he knew this report was there. I would have prepared point by point by point.
No, he said he did, and he forwarded it to the executive.
Well, he didn't do it.
He didn't take it to the Senate. If he knew they were going to ask him questions, he would have brought it to the Senate.
See, that again is failure. If he knew, he should have known. And more so, when you go point by point defend, you are not going in front of the executive. The executive already appointed you. You don't have anything to prove to the president. You have something to prove to the Senate where you are going. And you knew how I haven't heard him saying, well, this my defense that I wrote down and sent to the Senate. You have, if I want him, I have 2 million copies of that report of the response with me when I go there. And this is to each member. This is what I think about each allegation that has been leveled against me. He didn't do that. I don't know who prepared him for that screening. And I'm saying that that failure alone, to me, justifies the rejection. You're not prepared. You're supposed to be prepared. You're supposed to come to prepared. You are the head of the EFCC. Forget about all these allegations. And forget about the fact that people are saying he didn't have the enough opportunity to defend himself. You knew this was going to happen 2 months prior. 2 months notice.
Okay, now, assuming that because the reports here today said the vice president and the AGF may be the ones to eventually decide whether the presidency or president should represent his name to the Senate or appoint another person. What do you think should happen?
I don't even see the vice president and whoever making that decision. I think that decision was made when he was rejected by the Senate. And I heard Mr. Boala talking about congressional hearing in the United States. Look, if the president sent anyone to the Senate, I haven't seen it before. Maybe it happened before. I haven't seen it before. The person being represented. When the Senate said, look, this person is not qualified, it has a basis for it. It's not about you correcting those bases. It's about the Senate saying this person is not qualified. That's our decision. Now, he was now represented to the Senate, which I think the Senate, even by doing that, was just a deference to the president. Like, okay, bring this guy back. The Senate didn't have to do that, but it did. The second time it did. Now, are you now saying that the president should not? It's actually insulting to the psyche of us that the president would do that again. Why? Is Magu the only person who can fight corruption in this country? That we have to throw him back in there? He was rejected the first time. This is the second time he's been rejected.
The president has the express powers and privileges to nominate whoever he wants.
Yeah, he can do that, but two wrongs cannot make it right. If the president too is in a position to respect the decision of the Senate, and by so doing respect democracy, respect the rule of law, and say, well, they have made their decision, let me look for somebody else. There's no acting capacity after the rejection by the Senate. I disagree with the interpretation presented by Mr. Boala. You are acting until presented for confirmation. And if you think about it, what would be the essence of the law that says that the Senate must confirm? If you can just sit down in acting capacity, you are actually demeaning the whole essence of our democracy if you do that. Because the Senate represents something. They represent the people. They are put there by the voters. Well, some of them, you may allege, they're bad, they have skeletons in their closets and cupboards, fine. But the people must make that decision at the end of the day.
We'll come back and get your concluding thoughts in a moment. Don't go away. Welcome back. It's also reported today that the senators are planning the law to curtail the president's powers to appoint officials in acting capacity. How do you see that playing out? Does that mean that there really is a lacuna in the law?
I don't think there's a lacuna in the law. I think it is deducible from the appointment power of the president that he can put somebody there until he presents the person for confirmation.
Which is normal. Should they set a timeline with which the person can act?
Well, again, this is the legislature. They're the people who make our laws. If they look at it and they think there's something there to be corrected, let them try it. It will be subject to public discussion and opinion.
Do you think there's something wrong with it?
I don't think there's anything wrong with them. I mean, again, you can second guess the Senate as much as you want, but it's an institution we have to respect. Now, if there's propensity for the president to abuse that power of appointment, like people are suggesting now, that they can keep Magu there forever on acting. Yes, the Senate may act on that and say, no, we have to curtail that because it actually goes against what our democracy represents. You see what I'm saying? If they look at it and say it's subject to abuse, it's not a matter of lacuna. The Senate can act on that and say let us put some time limit on how long anybody can be in acting capacity prior to the confirmation of the Senate. I think there's something like that in the U.S. I cannot specifically, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you can be in acting capacity beyond certain number of days over there without confirmation by the Senate. Now, if the law requires that position to be confirmed.
For those who think that, in the light of this new report by the DSS and perhaps on the request of the AGF, should Mr. Magu be given an opportunity to respond to those things? And if he does, would that be sufficient?
No. There's no need to respond to anything. Look, it's like appealing the case to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court rules. What are you going to do? Appeal to God? I mean, that's the end of the story.
Who's the Supreme Court? The executive or the Senate?
The Senate. The law says the Senate must confirm. The Senate says, no, we are rejecting. There's nowhere else to go. That is the end of the story. We can't keep on going back and forth on this. That is it. No representation, no. And he was given the opportunity to defend himself. They voted on this thing. Let's move on. Let's find another person equally or even more capable. I think the president should look at this as an opportunity to put somebody. Maybe he can find somebody who is even more capable than Magu and who does not have this integrity issue. I mean, if you take a flight, a 2 million naira flight to Lesser Hajj, hey, it should be questioned. If you have a decision with questionable character, as the head of the EFCC, it is legitimate to be. It's a legitimate point of inquiry. So I think this should the president and the vice president should take this as an opportunity to actually move forward. Look for somebody who does not have that kind of integrity issue,
so
and then move on from it.
We are moving on as well today. Mr. Muyiwa Sobo, a legal practitioner. I appreciate your coming in today. Well, that's the show today as well. We thank you for watching. We will be back tomorrow. I'm Chamberlain Uso.
I'm Gimba Umar. Have a great week ahead.
Thank you. And Maukbe Ogun. Keep your head up.